Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. This is Tom McCarthy of Dragbike.com. We are in Tulsa, Oklahoma with Mr. Sam Wills and Terry Kizer. Gentlemen have been racing top fuel motorcycles for decades. Sam, you and Terry have been twisting throttles on top fuel motorcycles since the 70s and 80s and all the way up to the present here. And you're still doing exactly that. Each of you, same question. What is your most memorable moment during your decades of top fuel motorcycle drag racing? Sam, would you take this first, and then Terry? What's your most memorable moment in racing top fuel motorcycle?
Probably winning the #1 plate against Elmer, setting the 200-mile-an-hour record at the same time in Gulfport, Mississippi, back in '83.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess, so we had the #1 plate in '84, and we had the #1 plate already from the previous year. But that had to be the most memorable because whoever won the race was going to have the #1 plate. And we set the record and won the race, so that would have to top the most. Indy would be close, but Indy was not as competitive. You know, it's nice to have the Wally, but it would have been nicer to have more competition.
There you go. Terry, in all your years of racing, which mostly were funny bike, but certainly top fuel, you're no stranger to the class. What was your most memorable, sir?
Well, for me, it's kind of like what Sam's talking about. You come into a race in the #2 spot and winning the championship in that particular year is not looking so good till you get to that last race. And then for me, you know, of course, I got lots of memories with my buddy Mo and all the, you know, success that we had together. But in '88, my wife and I lost our house. Our house burned to the ground, so that was a really rough year. So to end the year at Baton Rouge for the IDVA championship, TJ Hoffmeister went out in the first or second round, and we got to looking at the deal and said, well, we got to win the race and set a record, you know. So we managed to win the race and set a record in the last pass. And it was extremely exciting because we did it with flying colors. We ended up running the quickest pass at that point in history on a drag racing bike, and we ran 6:88. And so, yeah, there was a lot of celebrating and a lot of excitement over that day because you know, with all the crazy stuff that happened that year. Actually, I'd crashed the first bike that we built. That was earlier in the year that Cosman built. We crashed that bike. So I went down at ADCO on that thing, and then we rebuilt the bike and came back with that bike and ended up winning the championship that year. And there was a good competition in that, you know, so it was, like Sam says, it's not fun to win when not everybody's running their best or there's not enough people there. But at Baton Rouge, we had full fields and everybody was going fast, and we had to, you know, you had to outrun them all. So that was a highlight for us.
All right, Terry, you're mostly known for your funny bike years with Orient Express and your stellar performance on funny bikes. When did you last compete on a top fuel motorcycle?
Oh my God, now you're going to make me tell my age. Well, I guess we've been actually in top fuel. I mean, we ran funny bikes and top fuel bikes together through the late '80s and everything. So it would have probably been on the Orient bike, you know. We had a top bike that Mo and I had back in, what was that, '85 we ran at ADCO. He and I ran each other in the finals at ADCO.
Yeah.
But as far as, you know, calling a bike a top fuel bike, the funny thing is that, you know, all those bikes were fairly equal until these guys, Helmer and Sam and those guys and Larry, started really making progress in the development of fuel systems and everything with the blown nitro bikes, and then things changed completely, you know, and they started making a lot of progress, and there was no more turbo gas nitrous bikes keeping up with them blown nitro bikes. Yeah. So that would have been the late '80s, early '90s, you know.
All right. Yeah. Can you remember what your best pass, your best numbers were while on a top fuel bike?
Yeah, well, I mean, on Jack's bike, we ran low 680s with that bike at 200 miles an hour. So
Okay.
that was late 80s. That was really big
Yes.
numbers back then. Yeah.
Yes, I was very stout
Yeah.
then.
So for me to get on one of these things now, what he keeps telling me is this thing never quits pulling. It ain't like what we were riding before. It never quits. And I see that watching him and watching Larry. I'm like, my God, saying what these things are doing now.
All right. Terry, what was it like for you to get back on a Top Fuel motorcycle this weekend?
Well, I've been looking forward to it. Obviously, this bike was it was my idea to go to Sam and build this bike because David Lednicki and Bob Harvey came to me to talk about this deal, years ago now. And I had ideas about doing it a different way, doing maybe a blown nitro type funny bike, a lighter bike. But, over the conversations that, Sam and I had over the many months leading up to that build, he kind of put me in my place one night and told me how much torque the thing was going to have. He asked me how much power I had made with the turbo bikes and torque, and when I realized how much torque this thing would have, there's no way it would survive. You have to build it the way they're building it, with a billet bottom end. I mean, the Puma bottom end and the 2-speed gearbox and the big clutch and a chassis that will withstand all that power. So anyway, we went down that road because of that.
Yep.
And like I say, the bike was originally built for me, and then, life throws you different curves and things change, and I didn't get to get on the thing, and it got parked. And so for me to get on it this weekend just to make a burnout and a hit on it I'm very much looking forward to it. My wife asked me, says, "Are you nervous?" I said, "No, I'm not nervous. If I get nervous, I can't be in control. I have to be in control." And so it really felt good to get out there and do it, and I enjoyed that. So.
From your photos that I took with my long lens and stuff, I could see you weren't nervous.
No.
You were at home out there.
Well, it's like
you
they
really
say,
were,
you're in
and
your
you looked
office,
at it the whole
I
time,
haven't been
Terry.
in my office in a while. I really enjoyed getting
Right.
Yeah.
If you could land a sponsor today, would you get back on and race?
Yeah, I would. If there's a place to race, and that's the other hiccup
Sure.
in this whole thing, if there's a place to run these things, it's
Roger
harder
that.
to put that program together, but I'd love to ride it, yeah.
It would
But
be
I couldn't do
nice.
it without him. Well, now I need him. It's not like, I need that mentor. I've always had that. I had that with Mo, I had that with Jack, and for me to be comfortable,
Right.
I'm really comfortable with him by my side. And if I had to do it by myself, I don't think I could do it. I'd have to have,
Right.
because he knows so much about this thing, and it's so complex.
Right.
I mean, the more you break it down, it's this system, this system, this system, the more you understand it, you can teach yourself to understand all those systems. But if you don't have all that, you might as well put this thing in a truck.
Right.
It's not going down the racetrack.
All right, Sam, you won the U.S. Nationals Top Fuel motorcycle in '84. Correct me if I'm wrong. You beat out Elmer and Larry at that event?
No, Elmer and I ran each other first round of qualifying, and that was when Elmer went into severe tire shake and lost the handlebar and got
Yep.
spit off. So Elmer couldn't compete because he hurt himself. I beat Larry first round at that race, yes.
It was quite a memorable
And
win.
ended up beating Brian Johnson in the final.
Yep. Now, you've won the Midwest Drag Racing Series #1 plate. You've won Indy, which everybody wishes they had but haven't. And you've set countless Top Fuel motorcycle track records across the nation racing your bikes over the years. And I know you've piloted close to 24 different Top Fuel bikes in your time in the saddle. Now that you're retiring from competition at the conclusion of this race this weekend, what do you foresee as necessary to advance Top Fuel motorcycle as a class in the future? What are your thoughts on that?
We need to get some younger riders involved in it. It's very nice. Jaska is over here from Finland, and his 21-year-old son is riding his bike now, and the kid's good, real good. And we need more of that. We need maybe to get some of these guys that are piloting pro stock bikes. The amount of money they spend on a pro stock bike could easily run a top fuel bike. And we just need to get more people involved. We're all timing out. I'll be 69 in 3 months. Chris Hand's, I believe, 72. Larry's 65. Dave, I think, is 62. I mean, we're all hitting the edges of the limitations of what this requires to do physically and mentally. And, you know, we got to get some new blood in or it's not going to be around. That's the bottom line. You know, Mitch Brown is the youngest, and
right.
He's 55 or 56. You know.
All right, gentlemen. Terry and Sam. Terry, I want you to take this question first. Top Fuel Motorcycle is the top class of competition in motorcycle drag racing. What advice do you have for anyone thinking about entering Top Fuel Motorcycle drag racing? Sam, you take it after Terry, please.
Well, I think, first of all, I don't think there's anything else on the planet that's close to the intensity of getting on one of these things. I mean, I was just talking to somebody that's driving a pro mod car, and he says, you know, when I used to ride my funny bike, he says the thrill was just, and sensation of speed and all that was just incredible. Now he gets in a pro mod car and he turns all the switches on and pulls the trigger, and it's just kind of, it's fun, but it's kind of ho-hum, it's kind of routine. You know, it's hard to hear somebody that drives a pro mod car, as crazy as those things are, say that, but you know, I grew up around boat racing, and I mentioned to him, I said, you know, when I used to go down the river at 100 miles an hour in a flat bottom, you know, big black Chevrolet boat with my dad, it was just the intensity of that close to the water gave you a sensation of speed like nothing else. And that's what this is like. I know there's a lot of these guys doing no-bar bikes and stuff like that have the technology to go really, really fast, and they have. But man, there's just nothing that compares to blown nitro. I mean, it's like being at the NHRA Nationals watching a fuel car go down the track. There's no comparison. So to me, if guys really got to be around this, you know, and experienced it from the outside, I think they'd want to experience it from the inside. It's like no other thing you can climb on and pull the trigger on. Nothing like it.
I hear you, my friend. Sam, what advice would you have for anybody who's thinking about getting in a Top Fuel motorcycle? What would you tell them?
Now, the first thing would be to hitch your ride to somebody that's already doing it, which is not a whole bunch of us, but there is no substitute for learning it from somebody that's done it for a while. And we want new people, we want new ideas, we want to be technically advanced, but you still have to have all the basics. And my God, all of us that are doing it at this point have done it for decades, literally. And so you've got to have somebody, like Terry mentioned earlier, a mentor of some sort to get involved in it and get away from the hype and just be part of the racing. That's
great
one thing
advice.
I think we have lost, is there's so few of us that it's gotten to where the racing is not as important as just being there. And I feel like we need to have races. And that brings out the competitive spirit in everybody.
Very good advice. Gentlemen, being with us here, Tom McCarthy for Dragbike.com. Gentlemen, thank you.